Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Let's talk color. If I ask you what colors you would use to create this color, like what paints would you mix together to get this color match, what would they be? I'll give you a moment. Now, if you're still thinking about it, color charts might be useful to you. In today's video, we're gonna go over what a color chart is, how to use a color chart, and how to make one. I first discovered color charts through YouTube from an artist named Thomas Baker. If you're curious about his videos, I'm gonna link his series down below. It's a 3-part series that goes into a deep dive of all things color charts. But I wanted to come here today and share with you the things I learned and the key takeaways from that video. But if you're interested in a deep walk and talk through of color charts, then definitely go check out his videos. Okay, so what is a color chart? Let's go back to the beginning. I asked you to look at this color and then think about what paint you could possibly mix together to get that shade, a very peachy, pinky sort of rose color, right? Now this is where your color charts come in. These charts are gonna help you decide what the best paint mixtures are for a particular color. It's really gonna make it easy on you to help you narrow in on a specific tone. These are my 6 color charts. You can see just how many variations in color that's possible. When creating your own charts, these colors may look a little different depending on the paint brand that you use. While you can use my charts as a reference, keep in mind your own colors may differ slightly. But with that being said, you can see how useful this is to have when sourcing colors for a painting. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't experiment with your paints and really figure out different paint combinations, but this is a very straightforward way of you to know what paint combinations exist in case you haven't stumbled upon them yet. This really lays out in such depth the variety that you have at your disposal. Now I want to show you what the process would look like to color match this rose. It's a rose, right? I need to look at my image again. Yes, it's a rose. Let's color match this rose using our paints. Okay, when looking at this rose as if we were going to paint it, we can see the dominant color is this peachy pink. I'm looking to match the mid-tone. At this point, I refer to my color charts and do a scan to see what possible paint combinations would best suit these roses. You can see there are a few potential matches, but I see one that feels like it could be the best fit, which is on the cadmium red chart. Even on this chart, we have a few options, but the cadmium red medium and cadmium yellow light mixture really feels like the right amount of peach and pink. Within this column, we have the variations in color ranging from dark to light. With the charts, the names for each column appear at the top of the chart. These names tell you what each paint combination was used for each column. For this chart, all the columns are cadmium red medium, another color, and of course white. Okay, let's get into the color mixing demonstration where I'll be using cadmium red medium, cadmium yellow light, and white. Don't be afraid to use your paint. Put out a decent amount to work with. This is what it's for, to experiment. When mixing colors, it's best to add in a color slowly. Less is more. You can always add more yellow, but it's hard to go back once too much of one color is added. Once you have your color mixed, section it into 7 little swatches, each one smaller than the last. This will be where you add in your white. For some reason, I didn't catch this footage, but I added a small amount of white to my second swatch. I then proceed to pick up a little bit of white and slowly add it to my third swatch. Always remember to add less than you think you need because you can always add more. You can see here that I go back for more white because it isn't as light as I wanted it. So I'm adjusting slowly instead of jumping straight into all the white that I think I need. Just continue this process for each swatch. Each one should be a step lighter until your 7th color is mostly white. I'm going to do a nice little blend so you can see how the colors slowly transition from the pure red and yellow mixture down to the mainly white mixture. This color range can be useful to paint the entirety of the rose color variation. Okay, now you've got to look at the process of starting out with 2 colors that you've sourced from your color chart to then match a reference color in real life. These charts are so helpful because lest you forget what colors you used, all that information is going to be accessible to you through these charts. You'll never have to guess again how you created a color. And again, I want to just reiterate that I think color exploration is integral to getting to know your paints and even color theory. But that's not to say that these can't be tools to fall back on when, color experimentation is kind of leading you astray. Sometimes you forget what you used, and sometimes you need to recreate a color and you don't have the time to necessarily experiment more. Just refer to your color charts, okay? Now let's get into actually making these color charts, right? So when you create these charts, you're gonna have 6 main core colors that each chart is dedicated to. You're gonna have your primary and secondary colors. Primary being red, yellow, and blue, and then secondary being your violet, green, and orange colors. Those are the foundation colors that you're gonna begin with, and absolutely add to those charts. I've left some empty space on my charts in hopes that I will add to them. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but adding to the charts depends on the colors that you use most in your practice outside of those core colors. Like for me, I definitely use burnt umber a lot. I use sap green. I use quinacridone violet. All those have made it onto my charts because they've become very integral colors in the way that I paint. Okay, so when you're looking at your color chart, each chart is dedicated to one single color. This chart here is manganese violet. And so I have separate charts for red, blue, yellow, orange, green, and violet. And so when you're creating your charts, you're gonna have one column dedicated to the specific chart color. So this chart is manganese violet, and so this column is going to be manganese and white, and you're going to decrease the saturation until the last color is almost mostly white. And then you're gonna go, and in the next column, it's going to be manganese violet mixed with another color. This column here is manganese and viridian, and it's gonna be decreasing slowly until the last color is mostly white. And you're going to repeat that for each column. And each one is going to be manganese violet mixed with another color. Manganese violet mixed with another color. And so you can sort of see the shade range, the tint range that you can possibly create with those 2 colors mixed together. All right, so now I'm gonna jump into actually creating the chart. I'm starting off with a sheet of oil painting paper that is 9 by 12. I've also used Bristol paper in the past that was 11 by 14, so really whatever works for you. But I start out by sectioning the page into rows and columns that are about 1 inch tall and 1 inch wide. These charts should be tailored to you, but I chose this size so that I could fit 12 columns across and 7 rows down. I've never been great with making straight lines with rulers, but this chart actually came out pretty straight. To section it off, I use a thin tape. You can find these at any art store. Off the top of my head, I don't know the exact size, but just make sure it's a slim tape. Once you've gone across and top down where the tape overlaps, I like to firmly press it down to the page because paint sneaks underneath sometimes, and this just makes for a more neat look when you peel the tape. I like to organize what paints I'm going to be using before I start so that I know what paint combinations I'll be writing at the top of my chart. Today, I'm going to be creating the green chart, and the color I'll be using is Viridian. At the top of my page, I'll label each column with Viridian and another color, which you saw me previously lay out in order. I'm starting by laying out a nice amount of Viridian and a heaping pile of white. That sounded weird. I section the green into 7 swatches. Each swatch gets smaller than the previous one because each swatch should have more white and less green so that the 7th one is mostly white. There's going to be some experimentation when you're creating your color mixtures. Right away, I added too much white to this swatch and tried fixing it by adding more Viridian, but it was already too light. So in this case, I just went to the swatch above it and added white to that one. But this time I added much less. This is more of the color I was going for because it's a better transition between the pure Viridian color and the one below it. I'll let you watch as I create the next 4 swatches, slowly adding white and adjusting the amount so that it's a seamless transition between each color. I saved the 7th swatch because I can see how light I need to make it when I put it on paper. Besides the tape peeling, it's so satisfying to paint the swatches in their little squares. I don't show it in the video, but always wipe your brush in between paintings. For the final swatch that is mostly white, sometimes I'll take a bit of the mixture above it and add in white, which you see I'm doing here. Alright, now that the column is done, let's clean our palette and mix up the next set of colors. This set is Viridian in Ultramarine Blue. Such a beautiful aquamarine looking blue. You can see from this that I don't always get it on the first try. There will be trial and error when you paint your range of colors. Sometimes they come out too light or too dark and you have to adjust accordingly. It doesn't matter how much adjusting you have to do, as long as you get that beautiful transition when you put the swatches down on paper. Now that you have the hang of it, just repeat this for the rest of the chart. followed by a satisfying tape peel, of course. You'll want to do this when it's wet, otherwise the tape may rip the paper when it dries. Once done, this is what you should have, your Viridian color chart. Okay, so I'm coming back to you with a sweatshirt on. I got a little chilly, but we've done our chart, and now I want to show you a demonstration of how I use color charts in my painting practice to help me match color references to my portrait paintings. So I'm going to be doing this portrait here, and I found it on Pinterest as my reference, and I have this really amazing stand that I got for Christmas that's holding my iPad up so that I can view my reference while I'm painting. So this is perfect. Yeah, I just wanted to show you my setup and my point of view. So when starting with a reference, I look for some standout colors that I would like to color match. For this portrait, I chose a few colors to demonstrate that process. I'm looking at the skin, shadow colors, and the bright eyeshadow. After looking over my chart, I see that these colors pop up in the Viridian and Cadmium Orange charts. It's always so interesting to see the paint combinations that best fit the color match you're looking for. These columns show the range of color I will be using for the portrait. You can see here with the cadmium orange and cerulean mix, all the varying colors in his skin that appear in this single column. There's midtones, darker and lighter tones. I'll let you watch, but this was definitely a case of trust the process. Well, there you have it. Thank you for charting these uncharted waters of color charting. Sheesh, that was terrible. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, you've seen the charts come to life. You've seen them in practice. I hope you've gotten some good takeaways to apply to your own practice. But I just want to say before you head out that also continue to explore with color. You don't always have to use color charts. It is a good tool to lean on if you forget how to make a color or you just want to reference something super quickly, but foster that relationship with your palette and with color mixing. Experiment, explore, but just know that you have these charts to fall back on. But I'm out of here. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you on the next one.